G'day, my name is Matt, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is honest review on 85 litre up fridge from King's Full Drive Super Centre. Now, I've only had this for maybe 3 weeks, but I'm going to tell you ins and outs about it and what I think of it and how it's performed in the time I've had it, in case you're on the verge of buying one yourself. Okay guys, 85 litre up fridge. Now, as we know, King's gets a bad rep for being a cheap brand or whatever, but I actually really like them and I think some of the stuff's really good. And this comes with a 5-year warranty, which is very impressive considering I think out of all their gear, it's probably got one of the highest, best warranties they actually supply. So the difference in this fridge, and that will go the distance, okay? So, and that was also for me a massive selling point. If it didn't have that, I probably still would have gone it, but would have been a bit more like, oh, like could only last 2 years, but guaranteed 5 years at the very least, which is very exciting. Now, 12 volt, 24 volt. So it doesn't come with a, on the end of this bad boy it has an Anderson plug, okay? So you got to Anderson plug it. Whereas the Ingle I had a 240 volt option and it also had the cigarette belt option, okay? But this is an Anderson plug. So, and also, yeah, don't think you can't really plug this in 240 volt out the box, okay guys? Now, reversible door, which we all know. So obviously mine is wired up the way it came from the shop, which is this way. But it's really easy to swap over. It's just a little thing here and here and you put it on the other side, and it's good because this handle's in the center, so you don't have to move the handle unlike the Bushman. The Bushman, you have to like undrill it, re-drill it, put a sticker over the holes. This, there's nothing that. It's just in the middle and that's it, and you open it and you're good to go. Alright, now this fridge has a really cool little display here, so it's so simple. Now this fridge goes from anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, so you literally like just push the button. So 0, that's the lowest it will ever do, and then you can obviously go this way all the way up to 10, and then it maxes out 10. So there's not that much leeway in the temperature, whereas the Ingles and all them will do more like a minus 10 or 20 to 10, but that is this whole section, whereas the freezer is obviously always frozen because the compressor's right here, so this will always be cold in here. And also, I've just shown you such a good feature, the lid magnets up, so one hand can get in and get out. That's such a good feature, they put it in there. And this is an options button. This literally just turns the screen like brighter or dimmer, and then this is just the on and off button, pretty self-explanatory. And also does have a nice little light in there, little LED light at night, which is really nice and helpful if you want to see what you're grabbing in here. So these fridges, they come in this little plastic section, right? And it goes just below the freezer, and the idea is all the moisture from that sits in there and then doesn't get on your food, which is a good idea. But I actually haven't had to use mine at all in the last few weeks and it's been fine. So I'm not sure if you quite want to use it, and I took it out because I wanted the space to put more food in there. And also the Bushman's fridge doesn't even have that. And these shelves, they have these little flexible bands on, so drinks like this, they fit in just fine. But if you had like a 2 litre milk, it would just pull out like that. And there's one in the bottom and top, so they're expandable. And they also come with these little dividers, as you can see here. Now these slide back and forth. Now I'm actually not using it at the moment, but if I had like a 2 litre milk in here for camp, I'll definitely be using one of these to hold it up, but these are really small so they don't need it. But that's a really nice, good feature they've got there. And the King's one has the big logo here in the center, whereas you'll find the Bushman's one looks identical to in here, but just doesn't have the Adventure Kings logo here. So on the inside, they're the exact same layout. The compressor's up here, freezer, and like all the shelves and everything is very, very similar. So it just goes to show you can spend almost half the money and get the exact same product. And if you had any vegetables or anything in here, there's just a nice little pull drawer. So this is just sliding out on the base of the floor, there's no runners. And that's just a really easy way to get in and out. And then all these shelves are obviously on runners, so I can have this one up here or down here, depending what food you've got. So here's a few cons. It does use a lot more power because obviously, well, first of all, it's double the size, so that's not really fair. But also because when you open the door, more cold air can get out, whereas the chest fridge, it kind of stays in there. So you do end up using a bit more power for your battery. So that's probably one of the little downsides. But an upside is that it's also like half the weight. By the time you get the slide and the Ingle fridge, this is actually a lot lighter. Now it could be to do with that, some pieces on this are plastic, right? Whereas the Ingle was a solid, sturdy build and the walls are quite thick and well insulated. and also the Ingle is really efficient and just sips power, whereas this will, you know, draw quite a lot more. So the amp draw, if this fridge is at 5 Celsius degrees and the outside temperature is 32, 1.5 to 2 amps, okay? So that's how much this will draw, which is, you know, quite a lot more than the Ingle. Well, one of the things I'm not entirely sure about is this hinge. Now, I've seen some other videos and they say they rate it, and like, it is kind of good, but if you close it like this, see how that's closed properly? But sometimes, if you just close like that and walk away, that's like, see how it wasn't actually closed? So obviously to the owner of this fridge who uses it, they'll be closing it properly, but if you're camping with other people that will end up using your fridge, they might not close it properly. So you do kind of have to slam it just a tiny bit, but this is also not a major issue. You can just tell everyone to make sure it's closed by pushing on it a bit harder, but that's just maybe one other little thing that they could have made a little bit better. But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a sign that the seal was really good and that it's really trying to clamp on there and keep all that cold air inside. If you guys end up mounting it on the King's drawers that I have here, what you will find helpful is that because of this little lip here, when I was opening the fridge, the bottom of this door was hitting here. So I've actually got a 3mm packer under here and under at the back. So the fridge is kind of like that ever so slightly, and then it just clears. So if you are getting one, just keep that in mind. You can see how close it is. And then obviously it's got this here, so when it slides up it hits that. Now a lot of people had to go at the mounting kit saying they were bad, but after the few weeks I've had this, they've actually been really strong. This fridge doesn't go anywhere, and it's not even lining up against this at all. So I actually really recommend the brackets. They're very tiny, small, deceiving things, but the way I've mounted them so they go down and sort of in on themselves, so they go under the fridge, and it's just so strong and doesn't move at all, which is really excited about. I did not think that would work because everyone was just saying they're too small, and they look really small for what it is, but it actually works really well. Now this is what the back of mine's like for now. It's a bit of a temporary setup, but you can see fan runs in there. This is the Anderson plug, which just connects up to here, and then you can just see how much room it takes. I got all this room at the back, and it's got the fan. The vents are actually one here and one on that wall against the drawers, which is not really ideal, because in the manual it does say to have 150mm space, but there's literally like 10mm there. But it's been running fine for 2-3 weeks and it hasn't really had any troubles. Okay, I thought about pricing. Now I bought mine Boxing Day sales, $300 off. So they're normally $8.99. I think I got it for $6.99. So pretty good deal, but these are normally always on special. Like they had Boxing Day sales days and days and days after. So keep an eye out. Pick one of these up for $800-ish, maybe $600-700, and 5-year warranty on the compressor, which is very exciting. And I think it's definitely a good buy if you're in the market for a fridge and you don't want to slide, because I used to have the slide and Ingle, and Ingle's flawless, don't get me wrong, that fridge will last 30 years, but the whole slide was a bit elaborate, and people who didn't know how to use it were like getting it jammed and getting stuck, and it was taking too much long time. And because my car's quite high, this is just so easy to open and close. Yeah, sadly, believe it or not, some people that don't full drive much don't know how to use those slides and open chest fridges, and my partner's also quite small, she can barely reach in there. But this, as you can see, even with 4-inch lift 35s, it's at a good height for me to just get in and grab something, and it's so easy and it's just so mindless. Whereas this fridge slide, people were getting their fingers caught and it just wasn't ideal. So that was my main push to go to this fridge. I still have the Ingle, and I might have it in a future build. I might have 2 fridges, or I might just keep it because it's going to last forever. I'm not really sure what to do with it yet. If you want an Ingle, let me know, I might sell it. But yeah, so this is my fridge review, and I just think it's a really solid product, and I would recommend it. If you're looking for one, I'd say go for it. Only 5-star reviews are on their website, so if I don't love it, it shows everyone else's, because literally everyone else has put a 5-star review on about this fridge, and I would add to it. Honestly, I think it's a good solid buy, and value for money. It's like half the price of if you get a chest fridge and a slide, or if you get a Bushman's.